So far on this channel, we've looked at Canada's role in the NATO multinational unit in Latvia, as well as the French contribution to the NATO unit in Estonia. For today's video, we examine the UK's contribution to the Baltics, particularly in Estonia. British forces are in Estonia under the broader operation known as Cabrit. Operation Cabrit, which has been ongoing since 2016, is the name for the UK's contribution to NATO's forward land forces in both Estonia and Poland. In 2015, it was reported that Britain would be stationing troops in the Baltics to shore up NATO's eastern borders and deter Russian aggression. You may recall that this was the period after Russia's annexation of Ukraine's Crimean Peninsula.
NATO defence ministers met in Brussels on Thursday at a time of high tension between the West and Russia over fighting in Ukraine, which has raised the spectre of a return to Cold War-style confrontation.
The announcement of the UK's contribution was made by the country's defence secretary at the time, Michael Fallon, during a quarterly meeting of NATO defence ministers in Brussels. Per The Guardian, Fallon was quoted as saying, "This is further reassurance for our allies on the eastern flank of NATO, for the Baltic states and for Poland. That is part of our more persistent presence on the eastern side of NATO to respond to any further provocation and aggression." At the time of this news, in October 2015, it was noted that troops would be joining German and US troops already deployed to the region. The commitment was to initially comprise about 100 troops. The following year, in July 2016, it was announced that a 500-strong battalion would be deployed to Estonia. While the number of British troops in the region surged from time to time due to large-scale exercises taking place, the country's current regular commitment to Estonia stands at about 900 service members.
So the temperatures in Estonia are not something that we are used to in the UK, and it frequently drops down to -15, -20, which is an extremely difficult environment in which to operate. So for us and UK soldiers operating over in Estonia, it gives us the opportunity to learn how to operate and fight in these extreme conditions.
The battle group is subordinate to Estonia's 1st Infantry Brigade, which itself forms part of EstDiv, the Estonian division. Previously referred to as EFP, or Enhanced Forward Presence, the UK is the framework nation for the NATO Multinational Battle Group in Estonia. These days, British forces are joined by a few hundred French troops. In the past, Estonia has seen contributions from Denmark and Belgium, but these countries have since redeployed their forces elsewhere. In many official graphics and documentation for the NATO unit in Estonia, you'll see the Icelandic flag alongside the flags of the UK and France, even though Iceland lacks a military of its own. This is because Iceland contributes civilians to various NATO units. As we've seen in Latvia and Lithuania, an Icelandic civil expert is the Nordic country's contribution. For Estonia, this lone individual is involved with strategic communication in Tallinn. Whenever we put these videos together, we try to give you an idea of which units are deployed. In most cases, this is open source and public information, with media outlets as well as official sources openly announcing the units heading overseas. We did run into a bit of a wall when examining French forces in Estonia, later learning that this relative secrecy is French policy as part of operational security. But with today's video, we are able to give you an idea of the specific units that are currently part of the Estonian portion of UK's Operation Cabrit. Forming Cabrit 16, the 16th rotation of this operation, are the following combat units. The battle group is built around the 1st Battalion of the Mercian Regiment. Interestingly, this is not the first time one Mercian has been in Estonia, as the unit also participated in Cabrit 8. One Mercian operates with an attached tank squadron from the King's Royal Hussars. A French company is also attached to this grouping. The battle group also includes armoured engineers from 26 Engineer Regiment and Stormer Air Defence from 12 Regiment Royal Artillery. As we reported in a previous video, Archer artillery systems from 19 Regiment Royal Artillery also contribute to Cabrit 16. The battle group operates Warrior infantry fighting vehicles and Challenger 2 main battle tanks. French forces contribute with their AMX-10 RCs and Griffon armoured vehicles. There are also UK sovereign assets in country, also under Task Force Cabrit. This includes the long-range M270 MLRS. As noted earlier, the number of foreign troops may surge due to large exercises. This was demonstrated recently with the Estonian Defence Force's largest exercise of the year, Hedgehog. Hedgehog 25 was particularly focused on the rapid and large-scale deployment of Allied forces to Estonia, including the United Kingdom's 4th Brigade and supplementary French units, as well as on the reception, integration and achieving immediate combat readiness of these units within the Estonian division. The UK's 4 Brigade combat team has been assigned as the High Readiness Reserve Unit, which will deploy to assist Estonia in the event of an invasion. We know that units will rotate in a few months and that this type of change is constant. However, there has been some speculation that we may see other changes in the UK's deployment to Estonia, including the types of combat units deployed. In March 2025, Defence Eye reported that British Army chiefs and Ministry of Defence officials were locked in intense discussions with NATO and the Tallinn government over proposals to draw down UK armoured forces in Estonia next year. Military sources told Defence Eye that the British are trying to persuade allies to provide more tank, armoured infantry and self-propelled artillery units to round out the UK-led NATO battle group and augment what will become a predominantly British infantry-based contingent. This downgrading is said to be prompted by the need to start taking armoured units out of the deployment schedule so that they can be re-equipped with Boxer armoured personnel carriers, Ajax reconnaissance vehicles and Challenger 3 tanks. The new arrangements, Defence Eye reports, will dramatically change the character and capabilities of the British contingent in Estonia from one made up predominantly of heavy armoured equipment and tracked vehicles into a light force, equipped almost exclusively with wheeled vehicles. None of this has been officially confirmed and could be seen as mere conjecture. Indeed, according to Facebook posts by the Royal Tank Regiment, the unit will head to Estonia in the future as the foundation of Cabrit 17. The Royal Tank Regiment, part of the UK's 12th Brigade, is formed around the Challenger 2 tank. So, at least for the next year or so, we'll see the same broad orbit or order of battle as we're seeing in mid-2025. So, what do you think of the UK's contribution to the NATO multinational battle group in Estonia? Let us know by leaving a comment.